Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abby, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abby, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Dear Abby.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abby podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. And we're live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody back to another episode of Dear Abby. I am your host. My name is Abby. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very short, sweet episode. I didn't want to take too much of your time because it's the holidays and it's Thanksgiving Day. Didn't think that it would be, I don't know. I just wanted to do a short, sweet, simple episode. We're not going to do a Dear Abby today. We're just going to talk about some things with gratitude, some good reminders going into today, or you're listening later. Maybe you're just going into Christmas. We talked about it a little bit last week, so it's just kind of a continuation, but we're talking about gratitude. I also was going to share a little bit more life updates, and I'm excited to be here. It's been a long week. Work has really picked up for me. In the office. So it's really nice to just be away from that life and be here with you guys, with my little safe place on the internet and with my people. So here we are. I'm really happy that you're here. It means the world to me to have people listen to my podcast. The tears are already here, but this really is like such a safe place for me because I feel understood by the people who listen. And I just also know that the people who have messaged me and sent me anything saying thank you for the podcast or just saying that they like it, they listen, they're just always really kind people. So I just know I'm in a safe place. And I'm not perfect. I probably have said things that are silly and I probably will change my mind on things and things change. But I am just always grateful for the people who listen and our little place here. Something I've been thinking about is how grateful I am for what this is and what my podcast is and just what this little community means to me. I would love to do different things with my podcast someday or do meetups or maybe little shows eventually. And that is amazing and I'm excited for the future, but I'm also just really happy with right now and that we're just chilling here, and I'm going to share a little bit about my crazy week. I wanted to give a little bit more life updates, like normal stuff every episode, but I'll see if you guys like it or not. Sometimes I have this weird thing where when you have a podcast where you talk about your feelings and when you talk about anxiety and kind of self-help stuff, I feel like there is a part of me, obviously, that loves that and nerds out about that stuff, so I could talk about it forever, but I'm also not like this wise guru person. So I'm also extremely normal, goofy, silly, normal life, which you guys probably know that, but I do miss sometimes just that part of being fun on the podcast. So yeah, I want to bring a little bit more of that. But if you guys hate it and you hate my personality, then just tell me. But of course we'll always talk about something that's a good reminder or something to help us be a little bit more kind to ourselves, because those of us that struggle with mental health or honestly just anything, everyone that struggles, period, which is everyone, we can all be a little bit kinder to ourselves, and that's just always a good reminder. So that's what I'm here to do every week in some way or another, and to hold us accountable. So blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's get into, as I said, it's going to be a small episode, a shorter episode than it normally is, unless I just start yapping, because you never know. I might just start yapping, telling a story, talking about something, and I just get carried away. Is there a rat in my apartment? What the heck was that sound? I get carried away sometimes, so we'll see how this goes. But this week, I just wanted to share, if I may, let me share some of the crazy things that I did this week. Okay? And this is not like cool crazy. This is like, why didn't I just do something different? Or why did I not just say something or do something about it? When things get busy, I'm great at putting my head down, locking in, and just getting it done. And I don't really have to talk that much in between. I'll probably have to cry I need to eventually vent it out or talk to somebody because it starts to pile up a little bit. But I'm great at just putting my head down and getting stuff done and being miserable for a little bit if that means I can be happy later on. Work hard, play harder, rest the most. Work hard, game harder, rest the hardest. So that's just my mentality, and you can quote me on that. So this week, here's some of the crazy things that I did because I had my head down and I just wanted to get this shiz done, get stuff done at work, just get it off my freaking plate. One of those things was for a full day today, okay? I had a rock in my shoe the second I put them on in the morning. I knew it was there. I knew it. And I was like, oh, I got to get that out because that's going to drive me crazy walking around at the office, walking around. Get in my car, drive to work, been at work for like 2 hours, started walking around, going to the bathroom. I was like, oh, I saw that rock in my shoe. Could feel it, too busy. And I was like, okay, I'll get it when I sit down. Sat down, I'm like, I'll be fine. I don't get it out all day until just barely when I got home. I took my shoe off and I could feel it all day. Every time I would stand up, which was a lot, I would stand up and I would feel the rock in my shoe stabbing into the bottom of my foot. And it wasn't pokey enough to where it hurt. It just was freaking annoying and like overstimulating, but I just kept it in my shoe all day. Now, so when I got home, I took my shoe off and I realized as I was taking it off, wow, I quite literally had a rock in my shoe all day. No wonder I was trying to hold it in, but felt absolutely annoyed with everything happening. A little bit crazy of me that I didn't just take 2 seconds to take my shoe off, shake the rock out, and put my shoe back on. But I didn't want to untie my shoe because somehow in my head, putting my head down, getting the work done, that was more time consuming than taking my shoe off and shaking it off. This makes me sound crazy. And I realized today, once that happened and my shoe came off and I felt the relief from not having a rock stabbing into my foot all day, that I needed to take a break from work. I needed to take a mental break and set the boundary again because I was really good at this for a while. I'm someone that, again, I work pretty hard, not to toot my own horn, but also I don't know what it is. I feel like I have to go above and beyond. But I also, whatever I stamp my name on, I want it to be good. Okay? I also just enjoy putting out good work. I don't like making a lot of mistakes in my job. But I do. I know I make a ton, you know? I don't want to admit it, but I know I do. So that's always been a little bit of a pain point in every job that I've had is I have to just be like, okay, now we're at a point where you left a rock in your shoe all day because you're just trying to grind it out. We're not doing that again. So we're not going to do that because that's psychotic behavior. So that was crazy of me. Now thinking about it, I didn't actually shake the rock out of my shoe when I took it off. I just took off my shoe. So I got to shake the rock out of my shoe the second I'm done with this podcast. So that was crazy thing number one, which taught me the lesson that showed me that I have a little bit of that people pleasing mindset when it comes to working at a job. I want to be perfect at my job. And if I make a mistake, I'm like, how in the heck I'm going to get fired now? Everything's falling apart. Nobody respects me. Everyone's talking bad about me behind my back now. That it starts to spiral from there. You got to go journal about that. Probably ASAP. So that's crazy thing number one. Crazy thing number two is I work on a screen all day. Sounds smart. I'm looking at stuff all day. I'm looking at numbers, words, whatever. Staring at a screen most of the day. I get home, one of my favorite activities to do is drawing on an iPad or watching Dungeons and Dragons on my phone or gaming on my computer. So I try when I'm done with work, I go on walks, I go to the gym. I take obviously a break from the screens. Believe it or not, I don't want to be looking at a screen all day. I actually hate sitting at a desk working on a screen. But that's just where the cookie's crumbling. Wait, that's just where we are. But here's the thing. Most of the time, I want to come home and I don't want to look at screens. So I'll go on a walk, like I said, or I'll do something not looking at a screen. However, the other day, I had a long work day. I was there probably like 10 hours straight. and peed probably twice. I don't know why. My brain also does this on road trips. My body does this on road trips. If I'm locked in and I don't want to have to get up to pee to like break my focus, and it does this while gaming, very bad, and can cause UTIs, is I hold my pee. So I only pee like twice a day, which is not good. So I do not advise that. I don't do that all the time, by the way. This is when sometimes my boundaries are being pushed and I don't push back and say, no, I'm not doing this, because I want to help people at my job. I want to like get the job done so I don't have to worry about it. But it's a line that I think a lot of us can struggle with, is like trying to like do a good job, but also I don't need to be the one that's going above and beyond. Because sometimes if I do go above and beyond, then you can learn to resent people who aren't spending 9 hours at work or 10 hours at work, which is crazy, and no one should be having to do that. And that's not fair, because no one's asking, like no one's forcing me to do it. So like that's not fair for me to like hold the expectation to other people. I think I think that's not fair. And I don't want that. I don't want that feeling. Anyways, so it's crazy to me because the other day I was there for like 10 hours. Again, most of the time it's looking at a screen. Sometimes it's like I walking around, talking to people, but I do my little workout after I got home, didn't look at a screen, was outside, did a little walk, and then I sat back on my computer and played Hogwarts Legacy, the game, for like hours and hours. And then I went to bed and I was like, why is my back feeling tingly? Why do my coccyx hurt? How come I feel so tight and like my digestion is not flowing at all? Oh, probably because I've been sitting 13 hours today and looking at a screen quite literally for 13 hours. So I laid there in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking something's got to change. So what did I change the next day? Just went to the gym. And when I came home, even though I wanted to play video games and I wanted to do a bunch of things on a screen, I forced myself and I told myself, Abby, okay, you do not need to look at a screen to be happy, to be entertained. Let's just be bored. Let's turn it off. We don't need to draw right now on your iPad too. If you want to draw on a pencil and paper, because I don't want to look at a screen. Read, do something else, but you don't have to entertain yourself with your phone. And I think the second thing that I said, because that doesn't convince me, I have to be like, I have two choices in these moments. When all I want to do is distract myself or watch something or be entertained or scroll or play something, but I know it's not good for me, is I have to not only be aware of that, but I also have to say to myself and remind myself, if you keep choosing to just grab the phone or to keep scrolling or to go on the computer and in every moment choosing to be somehow entertained in some way, then you're continuously showing your brain and yourself, not just your brain, but you're showing yourself that you're not really in control of your life, because deep down, we don't really want to do that. We want to feel more alive than that. And also you're showing yourself and you're reiterating the narrative that this is what will make me happy. And this is just what I do. This is what I do. You come home, you watch TV for a couple of hours and you go back to work, and then you come home, you watch TV, or you come home, you scroll for 3 hours, and then you feel like a little bit like regret during the day because you weren't very present or you worked too hard. And so I had to tell myself in these moments, do not grab the phone, do not go to work, do not do more work, do not worry about work, do not get on the computer, like just be present and bored to detox your brain and to show yourself that you don't need that stuff to be happy in this moment. I don't need to distract myself always. I don't need to entertain myself always to be happy. I really don't. And I know that because I've done that before, where I'm rarely looking at anything for entertainment, and I'm very happy doing so. But sometimes you just get in these habits of, you're working a lot, things are stressful, so you're just like, well, I just want to enjoy this. And so you do enjoy it, but then if you keep doing it continuously, it becomes like you kind of feel like you just have to do it, or it's just part of what you do. This is just how I live. But you can snap out of it and be like, wait, I don't want to keep showing myself and showing up for myself in this way, because that's just going to make me continue to do this. Before you know it, it's 3 years, nothing has changed, and I haven't really lived in the moment often. Anyway, so that was my week. So yeah, it's been a crazy week. I'm really tired, but the show must go on. Okay, so I don't know if I'm the only one that does that, but I'm curious to know the correlation between, and if there is, having obsessive compulsive disorder or anxiety disorders and or an anxiety disorder and being like a perfectionist when it comes to your work or something, because I'm not a perfectionist in all areas. It's just in specifically a professional environment. I am very much like, I will work the late hours. I will get everything done to be 100%. And it's good for some people, not good for me all the time. But I'm curious to know, like, if there's a correlation between that and OCD or that and anxiety. I'm curious. I'm going to do some research on that, because I want to know what it is that's driving me, because I think that'll help me realize what I actually want to do, because I'm proud of myself for working hard. You know, when you work hard and you get stuff done, you get praise, you're proud of yourself, you get stuff done, you learn. But at the same time, it's like, if this is not what I feel called to do, or if I'm spending too much time and I don't want to spend that time, then what am I doing, type of a thing. Okay, so let's talk about the main part of today's episode really fast. And I just wanted to do a quick episode about gratitude. It's Thanksgiving Day. Maybe it's past Thanksgiving Day, but I was thinking of some unique way to talk about gratitude, in some way you've never heard before. But honestly, I think gratitude is a very simple concept. Sure, there can definitely be layers to when you don't necessarily feel gratitude, or it's hard for you to let go of things to make room for gratitude. But it's really a very simple principle and a simple value of, what am I actually really grateful for? And I don't need to say all the answers that I think I need to say, but what are the things that I am genuinely really grateful for in this life that bring me peace, safety, joy, and what do I want to do about that? Like, how am I going to show the gratitude? How can I fully experience the gratitude and the Thanksgiving? Obviously, one thing that came to mind, as I just stated, is making room in your heart for being grateful. Sometimes it just can be almost painful, because maybe we are hurt in some way. We have some scar, some wound on our heart. So when we go to try to be grateful in our hearts and our mind, we immediately are like flooded with the opposite feeling, or with maybe anxiety or that impending doom. And it's just simply hard to be grateful. And that can be really common. So you're not like some ungrateful monster. It doesn't mean you're not grateful for things or you don't care about anything. There's a lot of factors that can play into that. You could be extremely exhausted, so you might not have all of those good feeling hormones right now. You could be experiencing depression. You could genuinely just feel a lot of anger. And so when someone's like, just be grateful, you're like, that makes me so mad. So explore that, because I think through that is where you can find gratitude, and it's not going to feel forced or fake or something. And along the same lines of like feeling like you're forcing gratitude for something, I think it's a good practice to experiment with just choosing to be grateful and seeing if you can kind of start just believing that you're grateful for something. And then sometimes for me that works. And then eventually like the fog is faded, or the fog disperses, or my filter on my eyes or on my heart is lifted. So then now I can actually feel and see what I'm grateful for more clearly. Because sometimes if you don't feel that gratitude, you could just have a little bit of blinders over your eyes because of someone said something that was hurtful, or because you haven't taken a good resting day, or you haven't been able to cry it out, or you haven't been able to talk through something and you're holding on to something. And that's important. And you should be curious about that and learn about yourself as to why you might feel a certain way. And sometimes it can simply just be we need to choose to be grateful and kind of set the petty stuff aside and really let ourselves move on from it and be like, this is not actually serving me in any way. There's no lesson I need to learn. There's no big ending to all of this. It's just I need to actually put my pettiness aside and just be grateful. So that's something that is helpful for me when I'm like, okay, am I just being petty about stuff, or am I being do I feel like this is a deeper thing, or do I just think that I'm not being grateful? And I need to take a second and really look at each of the things that I have been blessed with, that I have been gifted. And then before you know it, the list gets longer and longer, and then you have an abundance. So that's kind of the next thing with gratitude that I think is kind of a trendy topic, but just an abundance mindset. I'm not an expert on this. In fact, you could say I am on the contrary, because I think with OCD, sometimes I feel like I don't have an abundance. Everything is doubt and small and what if and end of the world stuff. But with recovery, I have learned how to have more of an abundance mindset, especially I think with my finances. You make money to spend money, and my husband and I were just stressed about insurance and how expensive it is, because we thought we were going to get a good deal through my work. But anyways, and we were stressed about it, and I was feeling upset and life's not fair. Why is insurance so expensive, and why are houses so expensive? Well, that isn't fair. But my husband was kind of talking me through this, and he kind of had the same realization as something we've been really trying to do with each other and just in our own lives separately is have that abundance mindset. Okay, if we need to pay this much money for insurance, then let's figure out a way to make that much more money, because we could either sit here and complain and not take action, or maybe we just need to vent a little bit, get it off our chest, and then have a clear view of okay, but here's what we're going to do and execute, and then flip our mindset totally to where now our perception of paying more is okay, well, that's fine, because we're going to make more because we work hard and there's plenty of money out there for us. And even if that doesn't necessarily change our physical, financial, fiscal circumstance, it doesn't change the insurance to go lower, it takes this weight off of our minds and our hearts to where now I'm able to see everything more clearly and what I'm actually grateful for, what really matters, and that we need to do it anyways. So we can either be really negative and let it kind of taint our hearts, or we can accept and let it go. I think the road of not being grateful is a dangerous one, and is a scary one, and a miserable one. And I say that knowing that road, because I feel like after my divorce and with OCD, sometimes it can just take me down to that place of well, I can't be grateful for anything because my life fell apart and all of these things. And that's where I was for a while, and being depressed, especially when you are experiencing depression, that for me was almost impossible to see what I'm grateful for, even though I knew that a part of me was grateful, but I couldn't feel it. And I also couldn't even see it. It was murky waters. If you are somebody that is prone to, or that experiences depression, just be super, super gentle with yourself on that, and be aware that that is sometimes a symptom of depression, because you can't really feel those good feels. But if you are just maybe not in a depressive episode, or maybe not clinically depressed, and you're just feeling down, sometimes we just need to be honest with ourselves. Are we being petty? Are we being ungrateful? And then look at what we are surrounded by. I wanted to do in one of my upcoming episodes, I wanted to talk about finding the beauty in imperfect things, because I think that's kind of similar to this, is the abundance mindset. But you have two choices in this life. You can either condemn, hate, find disgust with things that are broken and imperfect and be angry towards it, or we have a choice to find the humanity in that and to find the beauty in that and to lovingly accept it, because that's exactly what we are too. We are not perfect and we make mistakes. We can be the enemy in somebody's story. We've been selfish in somebody's story, unfortunately. I'm not saying necessarily you. I'm saying we, maybe, definitely I. I've had people tell me that I've been selfish in their story, which I appreciate, as hard as it is to hear. But I think that's kind of a hard thing to come to terms with and to love, especially if we've gotten hurt. I think that kind of makes it harder for us. But anyways, I won't go too far into that, but it's along the same lines as the abundance mindset. And I really do think that once you start to name the things that you're grateful for and you start to focus on that, it's like the anxiety and the fear starts to melt away. And it's way easier then to see more and more of what you have. Like you think that you need more of this, you need more of that, the consumerism in us, or just in this world. Kind of the darker side of what can come out of capitalism is just like the consumerism. Fair enough, but I think it's obviously our own responsibility to realize if we're just wanting more, this isn't good enough, I need something more, I need the newest of this, I need the newest of this, and I need it to look exactly like this. And so sometimes I think that consumerism and that want of more new can taint our gratitude and can kind of suck it away, because now we feel like we don't have enough. But I think if you were to take a second and take a couple of breaths, watch those thoughts of wanting more, those urges of wanting to buy, and you take a second and look around at what you have an abundance of things, and you have so much to be grateful for. But gratitude isn't one of those things that you can just tell somebody to be grateful for, because it almost makes people annoyed. I feel annoyed if someone's like, just be grateful. It's like, who are you? So I think to everybody, it's their own, obviously, responsibility and path to get to a place where they can feel and see that gratitude everywhere for all the things that they have. Anyways, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, or will have a great Thanksgiving, depending on when you're listening. As always, I hope anything that I said today made sense. That's going to be it for today's episode. As I said, it was short. We're not doing a Dear Abby. So if you want to support the podcast, I guess you can leave a rating and review on Apple and Spotify podcast, as well as I post on YouTube all of my podcast episodes. So you can subscribe and comment on those. If you want to hear me talk about something specific, you can leave me a DM, a message, a comment on Instagram at Dear Abby Podcast, or you can go to my YouTube channel, comment on there, or leave a review. Tell me what you want to hear on there. As well, if you want to go above and beyond, you can post an episode of my podcast or this episode to your story. You can share it with friends. You can clip my podcast. You can do whatever you want. Don't put it in bad context, please, but you can clip it. Do what you want, what you will. Do with what I have. Do what you will with what I have. But yeah, that's for if you want to go above and beyond. Or just tell somebody that you know about the podcast who you think might like this type of podcast. Okay. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Fun Black Friday weekend. Take some time off of work, relax, eat, and do it all again. I love you guys. Bye.
우회전 taking a ride to join a late 눈치 보면서 들어가야 할 때 찾아 나머진 바빠 개설레임 바꾸는 사람들